Well, hello again, and welcome to the Trim the Wick podcast. This is Dan here, and wanted just to say thank you for joining us this week, and thank you for being a part of what we're doing here at Trim the Wick. Well, this week I have a special episode for you. Had the privilege to speak at my local church here in Central Florida, and got to speak on the subject of Jesus as our true leader. And we've all dealt with situations where we've had bad leadership, but it's always good to go back to the original, go back to the OG, and go back to Jesus and see how his leadership style was and what did he do as a leader, and then emulate that, not the bad leadership. Again, thank you so much for listening. Let's join in as it's in progress.
Matthew 14. Now, Matthew 14 is interesting because it starts off with the death of John the Baptist, right? So as you look at the top, and that's very important because you see this figure. John was the preparer. John was a leader, obviously. He had his own disciples. And you see that he is murdered. You look at starting in verse 10, he said that John be beheaded in prison, and his head was brought on a platter and given to the girl. This is a horrible story. And she brought it to her mother because it was all a part of a thing, a grand scheme that they had. And verse 12, and his disciples came and took the body and buried it, and they went and told Jesus. So Jesus has just heard that your cousin, the guy who you went to, who launched you, who laid hands on you, who baptized you, who started your earthly ministry, he's now been murdered. So Jesus has this moment where he's taking all of that in. He's being pressed with this. So now we look at verse 13. And now when Jesus heard this, he withdrew from there on a boat and to a desolate place by himself. Makes sense. I mean, you had all this happen. You just want to get away from everyone. You want to just go, you know what? I need time. I need to push everybody away and have a moment, right? Perfectly explainable. We understand that. But here's what happens. When he went ashore, he saw there was a great crowd and had compassion on them and healed their sick. Now, isn't that like it? You're just needing to get a little bit of time, and here they come. You know, it'd be so much easier to follow Jesus and follow God and be a good believer if it wasn't for all those people, right? What a horrible statement. What a horrible statement. Think about that statement for a second. The only reason why we're called out to do the things we're doing is because of the people, right? So the first thing I want to show you guys is the first thing he did, no matter where he was, when he was pressed, when he was feeling bad, you know what? He had compassion on the people. He still was Jesus. Okay? The first step into becoming a good leader for everyone in this room, first step, is we need to have compassion for those who we're leading. You've got to have compassion for the people. Because if you don't, you make statements like, it's so good, ministry's so good if it wasn't for all those people. Right? We must have compassion for them. We understand that we're the leader. We're leading them. Okay? So we've got to have a heart. And it says this, not only did he have compassion for them, he healed their sick. He performed. He not only had compassion and said, you know what? I'm not just going to be nice for a second. I'm actually going to take time and do the thing that you're asking. I'm going to help you. I'm going to heal the sick. I'm going to pour myself out for you. Remember, he was trying to get away from everybody because he'd been rocked by his cousin being murdered, right? But as a true leader, he's showing us that we need to, no matter what we're going through, no matter the things that are coming at us, we can't lose that compassion for people. Let me tell you, you ride on 50. We used to say the turnpike. The turnpike is beautiful now compared to 50. I'll drive the turnpike every day compared to 50. But let me tell you something. You can quickly lose your witness on 50. I'm gonna tell you, it's don't put any Christian bumper stickers on my car because you don't want to, It's so easy when people are being rude, i.e. the crowd was being rude to Jesus. When the people were being rude, to lose your compassion for them. It's easy. It's natural, right? So, he does the thing. He has compassion, and he does the thing. He makes their lives better by ministering to them. The second thing I want you to see is that Jesus, even though in what he's going through, takes the time. As a leader, we've got to take time to help people, to help those we're leading. Now, I understand sometimes time is short, but as a leader, we need to make sure that we're training and teaching people and helping them up and helping them forward, healing them, pushing them forward, lifting them up. Because, see, as a leader, the goal is what we're going to see in the future is to lift people up and to push them forward, not to keep them just coming. As a leader, I don't want you to keep coming to me. I don't want you to keep sitting here and listening to me over and over again, because there's going to be a point when I'm going to go. And I don't want you to come back to me. I want you to go, right? So that's the goal. But we must take the time to teach and train, and we need to look for those teaching moments. And we're going to see that Jesus right here is looking for a teaching moment with his disciples. Ready? Verse 15, now when it was evening, the disciples came to him. This is a desolate place, and the day is now over. Makes sense. Can we just send the crowds away to go into the villages and buy food for themselves? Here's the teaching moment. I need to, again, I know I'm bringing this back up, but Jesus had just learned about the passing of his cousin, just wanted to get away, to spend some time away, to just grieve, chill, seek the Father's face. He was interrupted by the crowd. He then poured out to the crowd, ministered to the crowd, had compassion on the crowd, and now it just, you know what? It's late, Jesus. Why don't we just send everybody away? But Jesus is seeing the teachable moment right here. So as leaders, we need to see those teachable moments. And sometimes they're going to be at inconvenient times. Let me just say this. Most of the time, they're going to be inconvenient times. Okay? If you've raised children, the most teaching moment times are the times when you have 3 plates spinning and something's on fire in the oven, right? And the dog just ran out the back door. And there's your teachable moment, because your child's looking at you and going, Mom, Dad, what do I do? Right? Right? So we need to make sure that we're seeking out those teachable times, those moments. Here's that teachable moment. This is going to inconvenience Jesus a lot, because it would have been easier just to send everybody away, right? Be honest with, how many of us would have just sent everybody away? Yeah. You know what? We can do this again tomorrow. We can just, I'm here another day. Yeah, I'm here another day. It's been a long day. Let's, instead of 8 o'clock, let's do 9 o'clock, okay? Right. Yeah, when the fifth rooster thing goes off, that's when we'll start meeting together. But not after the first one or the second one. I'm just rolling over. It's the fifth one. Okay, just want to get you all up. All right, so here we go. You ready? So they go, send everybody away. But Jesus said, they need not to go away. You give them something to eat. Right? Yeah. That's what you always want to hear your leader say. Is like, you know what? We're tired. We've been going all day. We see that you need rest, Jesus. We're just looking out for you. And then Jesus turns around and goes, guess what? You're going to do this. And then you're like, yay. Right? So, okay, here's the teachable moment. Here's that moment. He's telling them, he's seeing something in them that they don't even see yet. And that's the thing that good leaders do. Good leaders see things in people that they don't even see in themselves yet. You ever had somebody call something out of you and you had no idea? And then when you started walking in that, you're like, wow, this is powerful. A good leader will see what you don't see, and they will call it out of you. You ready for the next part here? They whine and complain. They say to him, we only have 5 loaves and 2 fish. I love how what they're doing is what we all do. Jesus, let's have a moment here. Let's talk about this for just a second. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. This is what we should do. But let me give you the reality right now, Jesus. There's only a couple fish and a couple bread loaves. We can't feed all these people. And it's probably going to be a riot. And then, the last time we had the riot and, Simon did this. And, we ended up, having to re-sew all of our tunics because they got torn in the crowd. It's just not a good look. Okay, Jesus, we're really trying to up our game right now. Right? I mean, that's how our brain actually works. That is exactly how our brain works. We go, you know what? This is not good. Maybe, Jesus, maybe you're just reaching a little bit too much. You're tired. It's been a long day. So Jesus, in his wisdom, says, bring him here to me. Then he ordered the crowds to sit down in the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and 2 fish, he looked up to heaven, said a blessing, and then he broke it, gave to the disciples, and then gave them to the crowd. So Jesus is taking this moment. He's going, okay, guys, you're missing the point. Let me do a little demo for you. I'm going to demo for you. So I'm going to sit down. He takes the loaves, he breaks it, puts it in the baskets. Now, I really don't think that he sat there and broke 5,000 pieces of bread. Did he? No, he boom, boom, boom. He probably just gave it out. This one gets that much, that one gets that much. He did the demo. He showed them. And then he said, guess what? You go do that. I just showed you. I see the potential in you that you can feed all these people. And I just showed you how to do it. Now go do it. I had an interesting thing going back to the business world. I was a manager at a restaurant. I had this idea, me and one of the chefs had this idea of turning this, what they called a quick service or just a quick grab restaurant. I said, I want to make this into a deal. I want to make it a big deal. I want to make this a destination place. And the way to do that is we're going to take simple hot dogs that we were selling for $4 a piece. We're going to jazz them up. We're going to put, we're going to make Chicago dogs. We're going to make Carolina dogs. We're going to make all these different hot dogs. And instead of charging $4 a piece, we're going to start charging $9 a piece. And now I saw they're charging like $15 a piece for them. So the chef and I came up, we put a whole menu together, and we went and we came up, and I went to my manager and said, hey, I got this great idea. Boom, boom, boom. And she looked it over, and she said, this is fantastic. I really like this. I want you to give the presentation to the vice president of, what? No, that's your job, because you're my manager. See, I'm supposed to just give you a good idea, and then you take it up, right? But I wait, you want me to stand in front of, I'm supposed to go and do a presentation. And she was like, oh, yeah, and it can't just be this. You're going to have to do a full presentation. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm like, I had some ideas of charging more for a hot dog. And she's like, no. This is your vision. This is your plan. You do it. So for the next 6 months, I put together this business plan. I've never been to business school. You know, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know overhead and all this other stuff and cost and blah, 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 and what we had to buy. So I learned all of that in a 6-month time. Not only did I was like, you know what? If you're going to go, you might as well go big, right? So not only did I say, hey, I want to do the hot dog chain and stuff like that, we need more seating because the other hot dogs you could just eat and walk, right? They were just, hand stuff. Now you're going to have a full hot dog platter. You're going to need a fork and knife, and so we need more tables. So I've got it. My plan also has that we cut out this section, and we're going to put in tables and chairs and all this other stuff. So after 6 months, I did my presentation, and then she was like, okay, let's go. Let's go to the big office. And then I got to the big office. And let me tell you, that is intimidating, knowing that I was going to make a probably $100 to $150 $150 million change to what we were doing, as well as shutting the restaurant down for 6 months as we had to refurb and change the kitchen around. Yeah. Let me tell you, it was bold. But you know what? She, as my leader, stood with me, walked me through the whole process, did the whole thing, made sure I knew what I was doing, how to present, and then she's put me there in front of everyone, and she sat down, and she let me go. Because my passion that I had for this, because I'd been working on it for almost a year now, she knew that was one of the selling things also. So I got up and I did this presentation. Big presentation, whatever. Did the whole thing. It was great. I don't even know how to explain it. Sat down and they said, you know what? We're going to look into this. Next thing I know, it was 2-3 months later, we got notice that they were going to shut down the restaurant because they were going to refurb because we were going to be doing the business plan. And I was like, whoa. Now I look at my leader, going back to having a good leader. She took my idea, whatever, and she didn't just take it and steal it and say, it's mine now, because, I'm the lead. No, she goes, you know what? I'm going to develop you to being the person that's going to sell this and make it happen. And you know what? It did happen. And if you go there today, you're going to see the $15 hot dogs now that are there today. Now, I don't have, for everything. They've changed a lot that we did. I mean, we used to have a buffalo chicken dog and all kinds of stuff. We had all kinds of things that we were going to do. But also the new seating area and plaza area, okay? I, on my own, could not have done that. But because I had someone who was in leadership over me, who believed in me, who had compassion on me, who cared about me, who took the time to sit there and walk me through every step of the process because I had no idea what I was doing. There was a lot of times I would actually go to her and I would send her an email and stuff. I'm like, what does this even mean? And then she would come back and sit down with me and walk me through the process. it gave it to me so that I could fulfill the actual mission, what was to be done. Can I tell you something? You want to know the miraculous thing? The year before this, it was a $14 million restaurant, which is good. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of hot dogs on top of everything else they said. The full year after we did the transition, $45 million in 1 year. It jumped. And, you know, I look at that, and I'm very proud of that, of what it, but I also realized that none of that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for her, who helped me, who taught me, who leaded me, who guided me, who took time with me, and then said, go. One of the biggest problems I see in churches right now is we are afraid to tell people to go. And we think that we're just supposed to sit in the chair and keep going, let's get more knowledge, let's get more knowledge, let's get more knowledge. I found something out where doing the John Maxwell, they said, did you know to become an expert in a field, they say you read 3 books on a particular topic and you're considered an expert. Did you know that? That's how the world, and when you're an expert, it's because you've read at least 3, because you know more than 98% of the rest of the world on that topic. So you are an expert. How many of us have been sitting in here or sitting in churches for years? We've been experiencing God's goodness. We've been experiencing God's teaching. Jesus has gone out of his way to have compassion on us, to show us. We've had healings in our own bodies. We've seen healing in other people's bodies. We've actually had the word come to life in front of us, and we sit and we go, I'm just not ready yet. Here's what Jesus did. He said, listen, take those baskets and go. You saw me do it. I blessed it. I broke it. I gave it to you. Now it's your turn, right? Jesus didn't sit there and break every piece of bread. The disciples had to go out and give it and give it and give it and give it. They took ownership of what he taught. And guess what? Do you know it would have taken Jesus about 6 months, give or take, to probably feed everybody? By that time, a week or 2 goes by, everybody's hungry again, so you got to start back from the beginning. They fed everybody in one evening, and it says this. You ready? It says this, verse 20, and they all ate and were satisfied. And they took up 12 baskets full of broken pieces that were left over. And those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. So there was many more than 5,000. When we take what a leader gives to us, and then we step out, and now we become that leader now, the next level, it just keeps multiplying more and more and more. Now, I'm going to say this. Everyone in this room has had bad, horrible examples of leadership in your life. Everyone in this room has had a bad leader in your life. I've had leaders who have been over me who have literally told me, I'm not going to do anything to move you forward because you're making me look good. I literally had someone say that. I'm not going to promote you. I'm not going to push you forward. I'm not going to do this because you do your little job right here so well, it makes me look good. I literally had a leader tell me that. I left that leader and went somewhere else. So we've all had bad leaders above us. But let me lean back to this. We've all had Jesus over us as well. And we can't focus on what the bad leader did to us. We need to focus on what is the true leader and how does he do things? Because I want to do things like he does them, not like this other person. You encouraged? I hope so. Because this is the key now, is that you're supposed to take this and go. We should have compassion. We need to look for those teaching moments. We need to make sure that we're pushing back on them, on those that we're leading. We need to demonstrate for them how to do it. And then guess what? It's time to kick them out of the nest and say, go and do it. Okay? That's how 5,000 gets fed in a day. And there's 12 baskets left over.
As my good friend John Maxwell would say, everything rises and falls with leadership. Thank you again for listening this week, and we really appreciate you. You can learn more about what Becky and I are doing here at Trim the Wick at our website, www.trimthewick.com. There you can learn about our leadership materials, our leadership school, and all those things. Plus, Becky does blogs, and we have so much more on our website. So check us out at www.trimthewick.com. All right. Well, thank you guys again for listening in, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. All right. Bye-bye.